going on, Jeromes? Beautiful Tuesday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and we got some Q's, we got some A's. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Occasionally, we'll put out in the community tab a call out for questions and firing them on in, and we'll be good to go. First up is from Siam Lee. Can you see the Vikes paying Addison potentially big money when the time comes? Might be a tough one considering we'll be paying big money for Jefferson Darrisaw, plus keeping cap for eventually McCarthy. Turner, Beasley, pace extensions, etc. Reminds me of Chase and Higgins' dilemma the Bengals have. Well, first off, he has to prove it. He has to stay on the field. He has to prove that he can walk the line and all that stuff because, yeah, I mean, he's talented. And hopefully he will be Jefferson's sidekick long term. But money makes you a larger what you already are. It's just an amplifier, right? And if Addison shows that he can't handle even a rookie NFL contract, I mean, how are you going to justify paying him $28, $29, $30 million a year? It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. So this really is incumbent on Addison. Like, he's the guy who came in and said, let's get paid. All right, so prove it. Prove that you deserve to be paid. Prove that you can stay on the field. Prove that you can perform on the field. And we'll go from there, right? So we'll see. Got plenty of time for Addison. I mean, it feels like Addison has been here for 5 years, but he's been here one. It's kind of funny. Next, Nathan Abila. Upon TJ's return from injury, do you think that he will be at the same or better level as he was before the injury? Skull for life. I think that he will be at 100%. I think that he'll pick up where he left off last year, where he was on pace before Dirty Kirby Joseph interjected. Hockenson would have had a 100 and 1,000 season, which I think would have been the first in team history for a tight end. Pretty sure, because I don't think that Rudy ever had a 100 and 1,000, and pretty sure that Steve Jordan didn't either. But Hockenson, he's a top 3 tight end, and he's not 3. And also, I do take solace in the fact that the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell won't put him out there until he's 100%. So whether that is when he's eligible to return week 5 or after the bye week 7, Hockenson revenge game, Dirty Kirby Joseph back on the field against Hockenson. Well, we'll see if Joseph's suspended by then. Who knows, man? Next, Yiddy up. I feel like we all need to ask why the organization felt it was better off with Rypien as quarterback 3 and not Jaren. It really feels like a downgrade, but maybe they see something we don't, which is fair. Plus, all the behind-the-scenes stuff, like, did Jaren Hall ask to be waived? Because, so what happened to Jaren Hall when J.J. McCarthy was here, like, Jaren Hall was getting basically no practice reps. Like, he was the 4th team quarterback. It was Darnold, it was McCarthy, it was Mullins, and then big time gap is Jaren Hall. So maybe he didn't appreciate that, and yeah, he showed up and showed out in preseason, which is fantastic. But it's a couple things. Like, did the Vikings see Brett Rypien as an upgrade? Potentially. Did Jaren Hall potentially ask to be released? It's also a possibility because now he's in Seattle and he's clearly quarterback 3 because they only have 3 quarterbacks in the sphere. Plus his path to quarterback 1 in Seattle with 33-year-old Geno Smith, as well as Slinging Sam Howell, who's highly variant. I mean, it's a lot more clear than the future here. You know, it's J.J. McCarthy's show. And if Hall would have re-signed to the Vikings practice squad, he would have been quarterback 4, right? And with Rypien, so initially there was shock, right? Even though Rypien performed very well in preseason for the Bears. And Rypien, I doubt that Jaren Hall will ever be a starter. We know that Brett Rypien will never be a regular NFL starter. We know that, right? But reshuffling the deck where you have faith in your backup quarterback because, you know, Rypien, even though when he's been in a game situation, it hasn't been ideal, but also look at the circumstances that he was tossed in. Some very poor Denver Broncos teams, and also with the Rams last year for one game against the Packers, right? But Rypien, I think that there is a lot of crossover between Rypien and Case Keenum. Or remember, like Case Keenum was an undrafted quarterback coming out of Houston, just like Rypien was coming out of Boise State, where put up insane video game numbers, and it didn't really have the arm talent. Like Keenum, love him to death, man, but in terms of arm strength and velocity, he probably couldn't throw a BB through a piss-soaked paper bag. But it's okay, because he ended up in a great spot here with the Vikings, a great offense with Pat Shurmur until the final game, where he felt comfortable. And he was very accurately able to deal at all three levels. Same thing with Brett Rypien. Where is Brett Rypien going to be a starter? No. Could Brett Rypien be a high-end backup where if he has to plug and play for a couple games in a system he's comfortable in with talent around him, just like Case Keenum in 2017, could he do it? Yes. I think that's a distinct possibility. And as we said, I actually think that the Rypien signing, after having some time to think about it, is much more about upgrading Nick Mullins than it was about Jaren Hall. I think that they would have liked to kept Jaren Hall in the sphere, sure, to develop him and maybe see if there's some upside there. But in terms of immediacy, like if Sam Darnold, knocking on all the wood, if he was alien abducted, you feel comfortable putting Jaren Hall out there? Or would you rather Nick Mullins, or once Brett Rypien gets up to speed with the scheme, Brett Rypien? All right, so that's basically what the Vikings had to ask himself at this point. Next, Trevor Lohr Fishing, our guy. In your opinion, what's the funniest thing that has happened to the Vikings? Could be an incident or a play during a game. Well, there's lots of funny plays during games. Also, in the running was the Love Boat, but, that has connotations. And then also the Randy Moss and the Tanucci's catering. I wouldn't feed this stuff to my dog, even though Tanucci is great. Randy Moss got to get off his high horse there. He'll even admit that now. But it's got to be the dome collapse. Well, number one, no one got hurt, which is great, because just remember the video of the gator getting out of the way of the dome collapsing. But, I mean, you have a cold weather city, and you built a stadium where the roof is supported by air. I mean, it was just a matter of time, right? And it was a perfect analogy for the 2010 Vikings, because 2009 was great. 2010 sucked ass. They went down to Hattiesburg and brought Bert Favor's ass back up here, and 2010 was just a disaster. It was just bad, man. And then the dome collapsed. The Vikings played a home game in Detroit against the Giants, and they got their asses kicked. This is also the year where they ended up playing a Tuesday night football game because of inclement weather in Philly. But it was just a weird year. Just a really weird-ass season, man. But it's so funny. Like, the Dome. So I remember, like, growing up as a kid, like, seeing football and baseball games at the Dome. You think that this is the 10th wonder of the world. It's like, wow, this thing's amazing. And then in retrospect, this thing sucked. Like, it was a dump, but it was our dump. Like, the trough pissers getting blowed out the doors. Like, this was a very dumb idea. But the collapse, hilarious. Again, because no one got hurt, and it was just, again, perfect analogy for that season as well as the team writ large. Next, Connor Rivers. Who will be the Vikings breakout player on defense? So, easy answer would be, a guy like Diamond Dallas Turner, but we know the Turner's going to be good. I almost said Pace, because I think that Flores is going to use Pace more as a pass rusher this year, but I'm going to say Andrew Van Ginkel. So, AVG dinged up with that foot injury, so didn't participate a ton in offseason work or training camp. Did have that pick six against Darnold in the night practice, but I think AVG has a chance to really be interesting, because Flores loves diverse pieces, like Josh Metellus moving all over the place. AVG, you look at Hadi Ward. A lot of players have versatility, and AVG is going to be all over the place, man. He'll be rushing from the edge. He'll be playing some off ball. He'll be handing in the dirt. He'll be stand up. He'll be lots of things, man. So I think that AVG will be Johnny on the spot. Plus, Dolphins fans are really pissed off that they lost him. And even though Van Ginkel's a stupid Badger, I think that he's going to do some really good things in this Flores defense. Lastly, number 6, Noel. What's one bold prediction you have for Week 1? So first off, I think the Vikings hold the Giants to 3 or fewer points. And also, I think that the Vikings will get 5 turnovers from the Giants. And they'll all be related to Daniel Jones. Like, we're talking about a fumble and 4 picks. Something like that. I think that all the hype for the Giants. And, Malik Neighbors. Here we go. I think the Vikings are going to bring the thunder. I think that the Vikings defense is absolutely going to get after Daniel Jones' ass. I think that he will serve up a meatball or 6, and the Vikings will get some cathartic revenge for the wild card loss as well as 41 donut. So I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I think the Vikings, they're 1.5 point favorites right now. I think the Vikings go to the Meadowlands and just completely lay waste and blow out the Giants and completely flip the narratives, man. It's like, oh, they're going to end up with the number 1 overall pick. Baloney, man. Just bring it, baby. That's right. Anyways, that's it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Q&A on this beautiful day. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.